Just gonna wait a little bit. As you're gonna have traffic, they're playing cops in the background. Okay, why don't we do that in there, over there? Y'all gonna be all up in my home life on these lives. Don't do that in there. No, no, and no. We are not throwing those things. Whew, children life. Happy Friday, everybody. You know, I actually started utilizing this YouTube Live. I usually use another streaming service, but I just wanted to try it on YouTube just to see what it is like. It's a really interesting week of discussions that I was able to catch today. I'm letting them get into their little game before I get into this. This is home life, basically. So this week, I'm not even sure how this happened, but hang on for 1 second. We're going to have to. How do you pause these lives? Oh, you can't pause it. Dang it. I'm going to have to keep my goon squad in check. I'm going to have to make this a quick one. So, real quick. So, I've been catching the back and forth, discussion since Kwame Brown started cooking people last week. And I don't know how Dr. Boyce Watkins got into this dialogue. Like, I really wish he would have stayed out. I don't know how they pulled him in. But he got in some kind of way. And I'm not sure if it was a capitalist moment for him, because when Kwame Brown started on a mic, it just seemed like everybody started doing damage control. Like all the paid blacks just started chiming in and trying to do as much damage control as they possibly could. But the brother was just on fire. It was like his mama's cooking was just sprinkling from all over the area, and it was just hitting everybody that needed to be hit. So a lot of black people got exposed, which, for what it's worth, I like to see my black people succeed. I like to see everybody succeed, you know what I mean? But specifically my people, I want to see all of us successful, and I think that there's enough out there for all of us to be successful and be happy for each other and not be threatened by each other. But, I will say it until the cows come home. Black people have a history of not looking out for each other. We have a reputation for that. And so it's easy for blacks to be leveraged against their own people. And, when people typically ask me, well, what do you mean being leveraged by their own people? When you talk about narratives, that inhibits a complete community from being able to progress to the fullest extent they possibly can, like every other group in this country. And when those narratives are so bizarre and so outdated that most of the people that are lumped up into these narratives can't even really process why they make sense in today's conversation, I think that's when you start to realize that it's more than a white person that's keeping this type of rhetoric going on. It's more than that. And when you start to look at the root cause, if you go back to Malcolm X and you listen to some of the things that he was preaching, he was talking about these bourgeoisie blacks, these blacks that can be paid to keep their own people down or marginalized or whatever it is to diminish the black image. And, I'll be honest with you. At first, I thought that this was something that happened only on the liberal black side. I really did. I thought it was something that only happened on the liberal black side. But it wasn't until, recently when I started really making sense of these social political arguments for myself that it happens on the Republican side too. Like, not every black Republican that you see have the interest of the black segment of America in mind. And I think that that's where people know to. And everyone, I have people say, well, you used to talk so well about Candace Owens, and now you seem like you don't like her. And it's like, I don't have a problem with that girl. And I would say that woman because she's over 30. I don't have a problem with that woman. I think my issue with Candace Owens' rhetoric comes when she starts pandering to Republican talking points. And that's when I check out. And also when she starts bullying betas too. I don't really like it when alpha females just go after betas like she do. But, even on the Republican side, you have to be careful because even our people on that side can be leveraged and paid to create narratives or paint illogical, broad stroke pictures of our community. And I don't like that. And I think that it's really important for Black people to start owning their own narrative. And in order for the Black community to own our narrative, we as a community have to come together and really decide, how do we want to be projected? How do we want to be presented? And, I often tell people, the Black image has constantly changed. And at first, I just thought that Black people just had all these styles and we're just so individualistic. But when I look at how the Black image has changed over time, and I'm a 90s baby, right? I don't remember it being as so perverse as it is today. And, I have my back in the day stories. I'm not even 40 yet. And I already got back in the day stories. Like, I remember Lil' Kim growing up. I remember Foxy Brown growing up. I remember various female rappers growing up. But what I didn't remember is them being just outright hoes all the time. Like, I feel like Lil' Kim, when she was part of that Junior Mafia contingency, she was risque, but she's nothing. Like, in my opinion, I feel like they really just leveled up, the worst part of Lil' Kim when we were growing up. That was that risque part. They're like, let's push the buttons. But, one thing Black people, need to recognize is this is just not happening to us in terms of how the music and the culture and the entertainment has perversed us mentally and psychologically. This is happening with the white folks too. I mean, the white folks are definitely getting it. I think when you think of, some of these young white kids who are very much into the hip hop culture and the Black culture, but when they associate Black people with, to me, very perverse and profane things. And, the FCC is okay with a lot of this stuff. They are okay with letting Black people talk about killing each other. They are okay with letting Black people talk about the names of the people that they've killed. It's amazing, what I feel like, the media and some of these government regulators will allow to be projected on Black people that they won't let happen on any other race. And I've always said that, is like, why is it that Black people are the only ones that are projected in such a negative way, whether it's ignorance, and sometimes they even try to mask our ignorance with comedy by over projecting that. And it's just like, Black people, we really need to control our narrative. We really do. And part of controlling that narrative is saying that, what, just like whites and every other group in this country embrace the bipartisan ideology within their group, Black people need to do that too. I'm not a Black Republican. I don't believe in telling Black people to leave the Democratic Party plantation to go over to the Republican Party plantation. I personally believe that Black Americans should be politically neutral and being highly educated on the policies that impact our people, and nothing more. I also think that we need to decide how we want to be projected. Do we want to be projected in the light where, hip hop music is the culture of Black people? And I love hip hop, and I can't even say I love hip hop today. I don't love hip hop today. I love hip hop back in the day when it actually had a message for our people, where it actually called attention to the issues of the Black community in a way that was more uplifting and elevating, and maybe even more exposing. You know what I mean? They called Tupac gangster rap, but that brother was talking about real life, and he wasn't glorifying it. DMX talking about real life, but he wasn't glorifying it. Today's rappers, they talking about real life, their experiences, but they're glorifying it. They're saying that it's okay for you to kill your brothers like you playing Call of Duty. That's basically what our young brothers are doing with each other in the hood. They playing Call of Duty. They playing Black Ops with each other, literally playing Black Ops with each other. And that's why we got the crime that we have, because it's so interesting, because I was looking at this YouTube station, and this dude from Chicago, he was talking about how the feds or whoever dropped guns into at-risk, high crime city areas just to increase the crime in those areas. You know what I mean? So every time these brothers possibly allegedly find a crate full of, just gun kits or whatnot, that crate is being dropped off for you to do one thing and one thing only: genocide your brother. Because the white man, they realize, why in the hell will we sit there and come up with all kinds of methods, that could be seen as a human rights violation with some of these people we want to exterminate? Why don't we just drop off guns and drugs into these at-risk neighborhoods and let them pick each other off? And it was a great plan, because look at what's happening. Look at the crime. Look at what's happening. And you can't tell me that a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old is getting a gun that costs $500-$600, and he's supposed to be in poverty. Think about that shit. Just think about that for a moment. We make poverty arguments. These are poverty-line young kids and Blacks. How the hell are they getting hundreds to even thousands of dollars worth of machinery to kill their own brothers? And, I think about some of these things. It's so funny when I look at some of these gang life. These young cats go to high school together. So there's a level of human to these kids before they jump off the porch and become demons. At what point, and who is it that takes the human out of these kids? Is it just, that one kid that killed their friend, and that sets the cycle of why these young brothers are killing each other? It's amazing that our brothers are killing each other off our Twitter beefs and all these crazy things. But the one thing that, we really got to do is start coalescing in a common thought. We don't all have to think together, but we all have to have some kind of plan for our community. You know what I mean? We need to own the narrative of our community. I don't think any Black person should be pro defunding police in communities where things like this is going on. It's unconscionable to me. But getting back to Dr. Boyce, I was very disappointed in that brother, to be honest with you, because I actually listened to him on a couple of different podcasts. I listened to his show, and for the most part, he's very pro-Black, and I think that he's a very intelligent man. But he is a bourgeoisie Black, and bourgeoisie Blacks, and people don't really understand what that terminology means in today's context. But bourgeoisie Blacks are the degree Blacks, some of them that have the education. And that's where, sometimes I'm educated, I read books, but I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room to the extent that I can't listen to another viewpoint, understand where it's coming from, and allow that point to resonate with me to the point of being at least able to understand it in a respectful manner. I think the bourgeoisie Blacks, like Dr. Boyce, And even Charlemagne, who thinks he's smart because he probably wrote a book and somebody helped him do that, I'm sure. But and he can get on the mic and he has a platform to talk about other Black people constantly. Um, they're bourgeoisie. These guys are paid by the same white people that they claim is holding everybody else down in the community. They're getting paid. It's funny because a lot of people were talking about how Kwame Brown is just trying to clout chase and everything like that. I didn't see Kwame Brown as clout chasing. I didn't see him as doing anything but defending the legacy and honor of his people. And I think every single person who has honor should do that, right? But if you want to talk about clout chasing, we need to talk about Joe Budden. We need to talk about Joe Budden clout chasing off of Kwame Brown and that Charlemagne thing. I've been trying to hold back because it's like, look, I want to see Joe Budden as successful as possible. Like I want to see any other Black man in this country. But Joe Budden is a narcissist, okay? He's a narcissist. And what he did was take an opportunity to take heat off of his show because he's looking like a clown right now because he literally built a show with two people that he just spent time dissing and treating like employees instead of partners of interest. But that's neither here nor there because I don't know the logistics and legality of the Joe Budden podcast and all of these alleged things that have been talked about. But he's a narcissist. He is an absolute narcissist. And, he's an alpha male, which Rory and Mal had absolutely no chance. They had no chance with Joe Budden. But, Joe Budden, jumping on, talking about Charlemagne and talking about Charlemagne, he dissed him and this and that. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Joe Budden. For real. You are clout chasing like a motherfucker so you can deflect from the fact that you got two new Negroes on your show because the other two dudes that help you build your show and supported your show are going and about to start their own stuff because of some man drama. It's crazy. But here's the thing, though, right? Joe Budden is smart. I got to give him credit because Joe Budden, I'm going to keep talking about alpha and betas. Joe Budden is an alpha male, okay? And he's the most extreme version of an alpha where he is definitely arrogant and narcissistic, right? Rory and Marl are betas, right? So they took all of that, podcast, behind the scenes, business dishevelment like beta males do. And that's just a true story, man. Joe Budden needs beta males on his show so he can actually have the appropriate control that he needs. You know what I mean? The minute your betas start getting alpha, like Rory and Mal, like when your betas start asking alpha questions, that's when shit goes south. You know what I mean? So I think it was kind of smart for Joe Budden to just pick him up two more betas. That won't turn alpha because he's gonna put them in a position where they're not ever gonna turn alpha. And I said this on one of their podcasts, in the comments because they were just talking about their feelings one day and you, and it's like at the end of the day, the podcast was named after one dude and one dude only, and it was like Joe Budden. It was a Joe Budden podcast, and then it's like new Rory and Mal, but come on. Y'all knew, yeah, to be honest with you, I think anybody that decides to work with Joe Budden know exactly what they're getting into. But I just thought it was just kind of weak that he capitalized on, Charlemagne the God being chewed out by Kwame Brown. And he was just got on this podcast and just started talking so passionately about how Charlemagne attacked him and pretty much did the same thing that Joe Budden do sometimes to other dudes too, which is basically diss them. You know what I mean? These brothers, it's like Black Hollywood, Black celebrities, and I never want to be one, Like if this podcast goes absolutely nowhere fast, I don't care because I actually have a real job. And it's just more profitable to me than this would ever be. But the thing is, it's like these brothers, they kill me, because it's like you almost see the female coming out of some of these Hollywood paid black men. And I'll be honest with you, and I said this before, my dating resume has been like the United Nations, but I've always had a hard time dating my black brothers. And I realized, number one, I was dated black men, but also because I really didn't have the idea of what type of man and the characteristics of a man, the black man that I want, because all the ones that I was exposed to me, they were human projects. But Kwame Brown, to me, he's an alpha male. He's very intelligent. And I think every sister, if you're looking for, and I don't know this brother all the way, he could be a mess at the end of the day. He could just be a mess that makes sense. I don't know. But I like the fact that he owns his manhood. You know what I mean? And he owns the types of conversation that he has with other men. And that is very attractive to me, because when you see a bunch of grown black men just jump on the mic of Gossip Train and now they dissing each other like little kids, and it's just like, can somebody grow some pubes already? Like, grow some freaking pubes. Like, Dr. Boyce, you have all the pubes, I thought. Like, why are you jumping into this bullshit? And then yesterday, I'm like looking at his podcast, and he's literally going through Kwame Brown's YouTube channel, looking at his stats, trying to prove a point about how he was silent for years, but he's been making videos. And it's like, that's not what they're talking about, Dr. Boyce. They were talking about the fact that Kwame Brown really didn't go ham on people that kept sneak dissing them, continuously dissing him. That's what they were talking about. They weren't talking about Kwame Brown not doing nothing on YouTube. That's not the context in which I understood those claims. I understood it to be Kwame Brown was silent about people dissing him and sneak dissing him. And then they went too far, and he was like, you know what? He had this little poo shiesty moment where it's like, yeah, I go too far, and he went too far, and he exposed everybody. You know what I mean? And and I think good for him, because I think that what he did, what happened with him, set off a ripple effect of awakening for black people. In my opinion, it set up a ripple effect awakening for black people, because now we see how our own people are being used against us. We see how we are being leveraged by our own people to elevate themselves. So to me, black elevation for a lot of people mean keeping your own people down, tearing your own people down, making them feel insignificant. That's black elevation for a lot of people. You made it. You made it as a black man. You made it as a black woman when you can place yourself in a position to tear your own people down. That's why when Tim Scott made the comment that America is not racist, right? The white anchors really weren't saying a whole lot to be angry about, right? But what did they do? They stick the black anchors on Tim Scott to come up with all kinds of ridiculousness about how he's absurd, knowing that they're the ones that are literally sounding dumb, and the real victims of Stockholm syndromes are the ones that are reporting against that man. It's, like I said in my other videos, I am tired of blacks being leveraged by whites to keep other blacks down. And I don't even listen to these race peddling blacks anymore, because what they have done is project their experiences onto the newer generations as if this is going to be your experience, knowing full well that a lot of these arguments are recycled intentionally to keep the black mindset marginalized. And that's what our people really need to start accepting. And we need to start rebelling against that. Because this ain't nothing to do with racism. This is about leverage and nothing more. Leverage and gain for agendas that don't have anything to do with black people. When have a democratic agenda ever benefited black people to high degrees? When did all these black yuppies that keep talking about the same thing, some of them are grandfathered into being career race peddlers, when did anything they do really impact the conversation about black Americans in this country? Like, and it's so messed up because I've been so oblivious as to a lot of these black organizations. I'm like, why does the NAACP even exist? You know what I mean? But I get it. They're like the superheroes for black people when injustices happen. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't trust anybody in this country anymore. I think we got a lot of black ops against our own people, paid blacks that are paid to keep our people marginalized, keep our people in a state of thinking in a critical way that we cannot succeed in this country the same way as other individuals like white people, including them. So that's my little rant for today. I wish that our people would kind of get it together and stop leveraging each other, stop jumping into these conversations, especially when you have credibility. Like Dr. Boyce, why? Why? Why would you do that? Like, why? I would like. I mean, honestly, he would have did better not saying anything. Like, for example, Kwame Brown had Joe Brown on his he had him on his podcast today. Joe Brown started talking about Kamala Harris, right? Kwame Brown stood down from that conversation because, like, first of all, it wouldn't have benefited Kwame Brown jumping on the bandwagon of information about a woman that he only knows from the surface of the media, right? He don't know that woman personally. He don't know, if the things that Joe Brown is alleging, actually happened. These are rumor mill type things. So he was intelligent enough to stand down and not talk about that woman. I don't want to say black woman because we don't really know. Like we're like well, she's a black woman, fine. She's a woman of color. But off that though, but he was smart enough to stand down and not diss her. And I don't really, even though I don't really agree with Kamala Harris's track record and her rhetoric in the news. I don't, as a black conservative woman, I don't diss Kamala Harris at all because I honestly feel sorry for Kamala Harris. I really do, because obviously, the thirst for power will lead people to do things to me that even diminishes their own sense of dignity. I don't think Kamala Harris should have ever stood next to Joe Biden as his VP. I don't give a fuck how much you wanted that title or how historical somebody sold you into making a move like that. That is where I don't that I mean, to me that's just tokenism. And I don't trust black people that fall into tokenism like that. And so, that's pretty much how I view our VP. I'm not going to talk crap about her, but I do believe that she's so her integrity to stand next to a man that she clearly believed was racist, but then want to continue to peddle racist rhetoric with this man. So, yeah, that's my take on Kamala Harris. But I do respect Kwame Brown for not getting on the mic and dissing that woman. I think that was very scrupulous of him. So I'm actually actually excited to hear more from Kwame Brown. I'm watching him. We'll see how his channel works out now that he's not cooking. Like once he stopped cooking and everybody, all the people that he done exposed kind of let their career die down a little bit because they butt hurt right now. I'm still interested in hearing his rhetoric because I think that he's very smart and intelligent. He's funny and he's hood, and I was just waiting for somebody with an urban conservative perspective to just get on the mic like, yes, my brother, you get it. Like, please open some of these brothers' eyes. Open their eyes. You know what I mean? So that's my rant. Dr. Boyce, please, please, please. You are too intelligent. You are too intelligent. And you always talk about critical thinkers. That was the thing that he was saying last night. Oh, I'm not really listening to people who are not critical thinkers and stuff like that. But I'm like, did you critically think about that podcast last night, Dr. Boyce? Like, did you even have to get on a podcast and continue to talk about Kwame Brown and Stephen A. Smith and Charlemagne, knowing that you were presenting a very biased perspective because those are your friends? And I think that it was illogical. When you want to talk about critical thinking and logic, that was illogical for you to put yourself on the line for those dudes. I mean, but friendship is awesome, and maybe you're just being a good friend. But I don't think it served you very well. You know what I mean? Because you really didn't. To me, it was almost like you were trying to mansplain your homeboys while trying not to seem like you were throwing shade on Kwame Brown. You were trying to be this sort of guy in the middle. And it's like, why are you even here, Dr. Boyce? Because there's so many other legitimate things around that conversation that you could have used as a talking moment for our people. But you all in the mix of the girl man gossip stuff. It was disappointing because I need the people that I sort of revere intellectually to stay there. You know what I mean? I just need you to stay there. There was no reason for Dr. Boyce to get in there. And then he was just reading the guy's statistics he was like, well, guys, just check it out. Like, back in this day, like back in March, it wasn't until he got hot this point. So you're basically trying to paint the narrative that this brother was irrelevant up until the point that he started cooking people. So therefore, this is just a phase for him. You know what I mean? This is just a clout chase. I feel like that was the narrative that was being created on that live yesterday. And I'm like, damn, Dr. Boyce, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you even in this shit? Why are you even in this shit? Like, why? Like, you were so much bigger than that bullshit. If anything, that could have been like the moment of teaching for our brothers and nothing more. Like, but you out here in these streets trying to be like the middleman, Dr. Phil Boyce nigga. I'm like, bro, why? Why? No, Dr. Boyce, stand down. Even you hear my son back there, he frustrated because he like, yeah, man, I was going to be looking up to you, But you got to know how to stand down. And I think some of these brothers just need to learn how to do that. Don't put your credibility on the line for paid blacks, especially Charlemagne. I'm sorry. I don't see how any black person in the mainstream Hollywood bourgeoisie sector is looking at Charlemagne as somebody that I need to protect. This dude let a whole white dude tell him that if he had a hard time deciding if he was for Trump or him, that he would take his whole damn black card away. And Charlemagne let this man go get away with that. And I'm like, I was just waiting for the hardcore rebuttal, the backlash or whatever. It was like, nope, here's Joe Biden. I think Charlemagne, this is like 1 or 2 days after he let that slide. Joe Biden has 47 years of systemically racist policies against black people, but I think we should give him a chance. It's like, y'all fools should have been done with Charlemagne. If there was no other point in time to be done with Charlemagne, that was the time. The Breakfast Club should have been done with Charlemagne. Like, dog, you should be donkey of the day for doing that, for saying that. Like, you gonna give yourself donkey of the day for Kwame Brown? You should have had donkey of the day for letting Joe Biden skate, saying that to you. And just man, I'm just like, this crap is crazy to me, but I just want to just say that I hope that my intelligent black men, can kind of stand down from some of these crazy arguments that really don't have anything to do with them. Because Dr. Boyce, I respect him a lot. And I was just like, I'm just sitting up here reading. I'm just looking at his I'm looking at his podcast last night, and like the whole time I'm like, no, Dr. Boyce, why are you doing this? Like, why are you in this shit? Like, I'm just on my phone, like, don't, like, just don't talk about these dudes anymore. And he was just doing some weird stuff at that point. I just felt like it was so weird for Dr. Boyce to go through Kwame Brown's YouTube history. Like, what is you trying to prove? Like, why are you trying to prove that this man was insignificant before he started cooking people on YouTube? Like, he's like, you see, guys, look at this. Like his stats went kind of up there, but you can see right here, really, like, it was kind of flat. Like basically, like, well, nobody checking up for him. And it's like, what is your point? Like, what kind of damage control? You looking weak and crazy. Black people, we need to get this together. We really need to get this together. We need to stop looking out for the ones that keep our community down. We need to stop looking out for the ones that keep projecting these stupid ass narratives about our community that are recycled and don't make any sense to the experience that a lot of Black people are having today. And if Black people, it's funny because it's like they talk about racism and inequity and stuff. And I'm just like, how did all these Black people make their millions? Can somebody tell me that? How did all these Black people make their millions? How did every single Black elitist make their millions? All the Black people that we're revering today, how are they rich? You know how? Because somebody that is not Black believed in their dreams. Do you understand that we would not have an Oprah Winfrey without middle-class white women? Oprah would not have a career with Black people alone. She would not have a career with Black people alone. She needed rich white people. So it's like, when I hear Blacks talking about racism and inequity, and you don't live the whole damn American dream and then some, I'm like, shut the hell up. Just shut the hell up with that. Just shut up with that, But getting back, I hope my people can kind of just start to coalesce and stop jumping into these crazy things that's pretty much popcorn for the white people. They like, look at them Black people, they're arguing with each other. Look at them, they're so ignorant. Some white people, not all of them, because I'll tell you this, I found that conservative white people are not the racist people. They're not the racist ones. Democratic white people are the most racist, illogical individuals that I have ever come to understand. And I say come to understand because, being attached generationally through rhetoric to the Democratic Party, you are sort of like going with the motions of logic with, what everybody's saying. But when you really do your Black history homework, when you really dig down deep into the social political patterns, and when you think about, and when you really look at racism, it has been the Democratic Party. They have found a way to make Black people believe that they are our friends. All the while, they are keeping us in that sort of mindset or that prophecy of Lyndon B. Johnson. He said he was going to keep niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And when you think about that, it's crazy. He was right. They figured out a way to keep Black people voting Democrat all this damn time. 90%. 90%. Now, Black people got to think about stuff like that. And I wish, Dr. Boyce would be busy talking about stuff like this. But it's like we do the same damn thing over 90% of the time and expect this different outcome. Like, that's not logical. And then they say, don't vote for Republicans. And like I said, I'm not a Republican, right? I believe that Blacks should be politically neutral. But I'll tell you what I am. I'm a person that don't like high taxes. I think that taxation is a form of legal theft. So I don't like high taxes. I don't like people taxing me off the wazoo, right? What else don't I like? I like free markets, right? I like to be able to get up and leverage my skills and my capabilities to be able to make money and fair change and extreme. I like free markets. You know what I mean? I like limited government. I don't believe that the government should be in our lives. You know what I mean? We the people does not mean the government to me, as Joe Biden suggested. The Democrats probably believe we the people mean the individuals like you and me that are in this union that are impacted by any law that is passed by the bodies that we elect. Like that's we the people to me. You know what I mean? So, I do have a very conservative perspective, and I'm very clear with my black people. I'm not telling you to leave the Democrats, go to Republican, because fuck them too. I don't trust either one of those parties. But what I'm saying is that listen to the people, the individuals that are running and who want to be elected and want your vote. Ask them what their plan is. Ask them how they're going to be accountable for that. And by all means, stop thinking that voting for the president is your only job. I mean, the local level politics for Black people are so much more important because that's where that impacts us the most, right? Blacks on the local level, we have neglected the politics. And that's why we see the same outcomes. And, you got to think about it. It's not racism when your local politicians are Black. You got to think about that. You cannot blame racism. Like people kept saying, Obama they wouldn't let him do his job. I'm like, bro, he's a president of the United States. Obama could do almost anything that he wanted to do if you wanted to do it. But they weren't gonna let Obama shine. Like Obama, in my opinion, was a token. He was a token right after the housing crisis. He was a token right after the housing crisis. They're like, we don't have to use racism and police lynchings. Notice when Barack Obama got elected in 2008. People don't pay attention to this. We didn't have race division when Barack Obama was trying to be president. We did not. They were using him as a token. So we didn't have any of the polarization before Obama got into office, right? They didn't have to use it. They didn't have to pop any police lynchings on us because we had the housing crises. The Republicans have fucked Americans over so bad with the housing crises, right? That they really didn't need to exploit any group during the time of Obama because they had something to get that had people inflamed, right? They already had something that had people inflamed, right? So they didn't need to polarize us. They didn't have to do nothing. All they had to do is just put Barack Obama, and he was there he's the, I always tell people that, I look at the Democratic Party as an abusive husband and the Black Americans as like his wife. He beats her and then he gives her flowers. He beats her and he gives her flowers. And nobody understands why she stays, right? They're like, she's crazy, but they don't understand what's going on in that house, that he's beating her. He's giving her flowers. She has Stockholm syndrome. That's what the Democratic Party figured out. We could dangle Black people in front of them. All you got to do is just dangle some Black people in front of them, and Black people will be inspired to vote. So 2020, it didn't work out quite well because they put Kamala Harris on the mic for Black people to bite. They literally was hoping that we would bite the Kamala bait during the Democratic debate in 2019, late 2019. And we didn't. Her numbers were so bad that Kamala Harris dropped out. So you mean to tell me that Kamala Harris is such a big deal being Joe Biden's VP, but we didn't even want her ass as our president? America. And I wish that voices like Dr. Boyce could just focus his discussion on things like that and leave all that basketball talk and all that crazy talk about his friends, because you're trying to help your friends do damage control. Let them stay in their lane on that, Dr. Boyce. Because I was just really disappointed with that. I mean, and then you got reactive. Like last night when I was looking at this podcast, it was just so mad reactive. So anyways, guys, I'm about to get out of here. But peace and love. Elevate yourself. Elevate your people. Don't keep them in a marginalized mindset. Critical race theory is racist. It's a form of planting the seeds of racism into the American Union, reminding Black people of their position in life and white people of their power as oppressors, supposedly. And I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting to continue planting these types of seeds in the union. And Black people should reject it. You should reject your children being taught that, because it really does inhibit their self actualization too. And people don't realize that you cannot become an actualized person if someone is planting the seeds of what you cannot do. Like my mom, bless her heart, she told me, and I carried this shit for me like 38, 37 years, right? Because it wasn't until I turned 37 that I realized that all of it was a lie. But she's like, Angie, you got two strikes in this country. You're Black and you're a woman. So you have to work extra hard and you have to be extra smart. And I went to a school that was 82% white male. And you know what I thought? I'm like, okay, I don't feel like the elephant in the room. I'm trying to see how smart my competition is. And I was always topping over, matching wits with white dudes. I was always top 1, 2, 3 with the white dudes. So it was like, well, they're obviously not smarter than me or capable than me. Maybe some of these generational narratives and rhetoric, maybe it's a lie. And so I think that people need to stop doing that. My kids are ready to be shut down. So have a good weekend, everyone. Yeah, I got to get them. Bye. Why